So today is the 7 of Clubs day. I'm going to tell you generally how I think of the card, what my experience of it is. As far as the influence of it today, I think there is a good chance there are a lot of other influences going on because I just had a really major ancestral generational clearing that took about a little over a week from the intention to plant medicine to various forms of, a shamanic journey, a really deep massage, meditation, blah, blah, blah. And I've had this massive clearing. And today I feel completely renewed and like totally different. So I don't know how the 7 of Clubs might apply to that. It might be like as obvious as a billboard to you. And if it is, great, let me know. It might have to do with that Jack of Spades that it protects. And I always think it's important to tell you what the filter is. What's the filter that I'm speaking through? I am a 7 of Diamonds. I am over 45, which means I'm working the 9 of Hearts hand more in the second half of my life. And the 7 of Clubs is my Mercury card. So I've experienced it as okay, so here's the general meaning of the card to me. It's discernment. Is taking a fine-tooth comb through your thinking. I think of all sevens as having some form of attachment, and then that attachment has to be let go of in order to get the goodies, in order to, it's a perfection energy. So perfectionism dogs the 7, especially the Virgo 7 of Clubs, which isn't what we have today, but yeah, but the sensitivity, the degree of sensitivity to that which is out of alignment makes the 7 like they're going to find the flaw. They're going to find the flaw in your thinking, in your values, in your perception. The 7 of Clubs in particular is the psychological realm, the mental, but also the emotional realm, because that 9 of Hearts in the moon position, to have a heart in your moon position means you're going to be in touch with your feelings. To have a 9 of Hearts there means there's going to be a really deep emotional experience of like a lack of self-esteem. So the negative sides of these cards can be really, really painful. My day today has been one of the best days I've ever had in my whole life. So I'm not going to be like, oh, 8 of Diamonds, awesome. Yes, okay. I was going to talk about that 8 of Diamonds connection. And thank you for sharing, Jessica. So yeah, I've had an absolutely fantastic day. And maybe it's because I'm the 7 of Diamonds, 9 of Hearts, and I've worked a lot with this energy to transmute it into discernment and clarity rather than judgment and being picky and finding fault. So it's like that rake went through my consciousness over the last week, and maybe it built up to today, and maybe the Jack of Spades being that protection card over it. I've experienced some massive transformation, and I absolutely know for certain that my physical life is going to be different as a result of the healing that I just went through. My grandma, it has to do with my grandma who was born in this place. I'm going to be really careful with my words. This is in the news, and she was born here in 1900 and then immigrated over here. So as a transformation, okay, 7 of Clubs as a transformation. Do you mean like as someone's transformation card? And that would be, would that be because you're the 10 of Hearts and it's your transformation card? So the terminology isn't quite uniform yet. So I know that's what Diamond 8 calls it. The transformation is the lifetime cosmic lesson card. What you're here to really get. Okay, I will, Denise. It is, for you, it's about breaking through, and I'll just talk about this in general. It's going to be a challenging card no matter where you find it. But in that position, yikes. No, Denise, don't worry. It's perfect. It's a perfect segue because this card has dogged me Seven of Clubs, among other things, refers to mental problems, mental obstacles, obstacles of consciousness, of belief, of programming, which is self-inflicted and family inflicted and culture inflicted. But it's about it's about overcoming that glitch in your thinking. So as a transformation card, it means, how can I turn this self-judgment into discernment? 'Cause I'm telling you, really, really dear friend of mine that I've been doing readings for, she's a 10 of hearts. Sharp as a tack, that girl. Girl, she's 40 now. She's from Spain, absolutely beautiful. And she was going through relationship hell in her 30s. And that's when I started giving her readings down in Boulder. And we've just stayed really tight. And now she's into shamanic breath work and plant medicines and astrology, and she's also really developing her psychic ability. And it's like, phew, she's been set free from the relationship kind of holding her down to just being like exploding into like, what do I want to do and learn and become? So she's actually actuating her 3 of Spades, Pluto. She's actualizing. That's the actualizing card. And the 7 of Clubs, she's turned into discernment. Oh, 6 of Diamonds karma card to the 3 of Spades. Yep. So, yeah. Well, here's your 10 of Hearts. And here's your Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And this is the 6 of Diamonds sits under this card. The 7 of Diamonds is here, 8 of Diamonds is under here. See, like this. So that's why you're thinking that's the 6 of Diamonds. So there's a relationship to that for sure. So there's always going to be a relationship. Hi, Doris. There's always going to be a relationship for 7s and 8s, a relationship between 7s and 8s. If you're a 7 or an 8, you're going to most likely you have a relationship with that, because we've got the 7 of Clubs and then the karma card, or whatever way you want to call it, it's the 8 of Diamonds. Okay, this is my moon card here, the 7 of Hearts with the 8 of Hearts under it. Here we've got the 7 of Spades and the 8 of Hearts doing their dance. So what does that mean? It means there's a dance between power and sensitivity. So think about that for a minute. This is a method, a learning method that I have. I'll just throw out 2 terms, not like I have a predetermined conclusion and I'll go 7s are sensitivity, 8 is power and control. Just kind of roll it around and sort of pull out my experiences. And it could turn into some hellacious codependent manipulation kind of tactics in relationship where, okay, if there are any 7 of Clubs out there, I might give you a little shit right now because I'm going to describe one of the least functional 7 of Clubs I ever met. It's the, oh, woe is me. I'm such a victim. All this shit happens to me and nobody else. And I tried my best. And underneath that, she's trying to manipulate and control and get me to say, so it's like, I've stopped giving her readings because she's trying to get me to say something in particular. Well, don't you think it's this? And don't you think this is true? And I'll be like, honey, you need to look at your shit. No, it's really his fault. I'm such a victim. So there's this, that's the 7 of Clubs. That's kind of what I was thinking about, was they can come across as the injured party, and they are the injured party, because being born into the Saturn line with the 9 of Hearts in your moon position, it's really tough. It's really, really tough. So you're going to have major dysfunction in your childhood. You're going to have somebody who was just completely missing. Someone maybe who died. Mom or dad, family member, divorce, loss. Nine of Hearts is like loss. That's how it manifests in this place. But whatever happened, you're going to have a vacuum of self-esteem. I'm worth nothing. I am invisible. I don't deserve to exist. And so your whole life, you're going to be working to overcome that and to heal that. So, yes, you are a victim in a sense. But that Eight of Diamonds underneath it, like if somebody just faces you and they say, victimhood aside, we're going to take that off the table. How are you manipulative and controlling? How do you try to control the people around you and your life and your circumstances so that you feel okay? How are you deluding yourself? Okay, I know that's really harsh. Like that's super intense. So think about that. It's if I could just shake this client awake and just say, look, you are in a prison of powerlessness. As long as you're the victim, you ain't got no power because you're subject to all of those forces around you. But as soon as you take responsibility and you own the authentic power of the Eight of Diamonds, which is, here's my name for it, conviction of values. And the word unwilling feels so good here. What are you unwilling to tolerate anymore? And that's where you put your foot down. And you might have to do that within yourself and say, here's what I'm unwilling to tolerate within myself, in my experience, in my world. So, how are you going to take full responsibility to change that? It's tough. It's tough. Hey, I hear you. I hear you. Seven of Clubs are going to deal with feelings of inferiority, hyper perfectionism in their head. Uh, Everybody, blah, 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 but me. I get it. I mean, I'm working that Nine of Hearts. So that Seven of Clubs is like, I've got my victim days. It's hard. So you have to be gentle with yourself too on those days and say, okay. You're an Eight of Diamonds locked into a divorce battle with a Seven of Clubs. No way. That's so freaking intense. Oh my God. So it's all about power and control in that dance. And the freedom is going to come from you just put them in another room and shut the door and say, God, show me what I am responsible for because I know you love me. You've got my back. And when you've got that love, I feel like I'm preaching because I'm a Seven of Diamonds. When you have that love in your corner, this is infinite love sitting in the moon position. When you know you're loved, then you can afford to see whatever it is you need to see. And if that love bucket isn't filled up, you can't afford to see it because it's going to just tear down any kind of ego strength you've built up. So love is the answer. Unconditional love, sister or a friend who just loves you and accepts you unconditionally. And if you are so fortunate and blessed to have a person like that in your life, it means that you've tapped that somewhere in your field and you've manifested it. I do have someone who loves me unconditionally, which means somewhere inside there, you know you're worthy. And you have to be really strong to bite this one off and say, I'm going to be a Seven of Clubs in this lifetime. Because it means, oh my gosh, raking through the unconscious, raking through past life unconscious. I mean, it's kind of a clean out lifetime. Let's clean out all the crap of all the shit that I ever used to believe that's not serving me. So yeah, it's potentially really intense. Let's talk about the Jack of Spades, shall we? So I know Diamond 8 calls the card that sits on top of your card. See, I think of this as the life spread, personality. This is the spiritual or the natural spread. And I think of them like this. So if I say the Seven of Clubs or the Jack of Spades is on top of the Seven of Clubs, this is what I'm talking about. Here he's sitting on top of them. And I have kind of more of a fluid relationship with the cause and effect. More of a fluid relationship with that. Observing and sitting back before I assign agency or valence or directionality. Like this card is the way I used to think of it, and this does apply, is that whatever card is on top of you, she calls it your protection. I would say it's something you have to pop up out through. It's like your final manhole cover. You gotta go, hey, there is a frickin' iron ceiling above me that's really heavy, but I've got the strength and I know where to push, and I'm gonna push up. I'm going to say, God, elevate me here. I don't care what it takes. And you pop up through that Jack of Spades and you can finally see the world. And there's the sun and things make sense. I know this is true for the Six of Diamonds because they have to become an artist. They have to actualize in the world. And when they find their creativity, they've broken through something really tough. So, oh, you retracted your message. I wish I could have seen what it was. Anyway, no, I do that all the time too. I'm like, oh my God, I need to erase that. So, yeah, and there are issues around being seen for the Seven of Clubs too. They need to be seen. They need to be visible. They need to get to that apex of the Eight of Diamonds, the sun position. But who's showing up, you know? And that's tricky. That's really tricky, you know, because there is such a thing as a public persona, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that that's not real. It doesn't mean it's just your ego, but the authentic you can be in a safe place. Anyway, so the Seven of Clubs, they have to do it differently. They need to take an actual ayahuasca journey. They have to go through that gut-wrenching divorce. They have to go through a big loss or just a really big experience. EMDR therapy, something transformational. And that's how I'm thinking of the Jack of Spades, something truly transformational. And maybe that's why today represents this massive, lifelong breakthrough for me, because I've been carrying around a program. I think I was my dad's mom. I think I was my grandma. And I was carrying around a lifetime of deprivation, the first 20 years of her life in Kiev from 1900 to 1920, and the Russian Revolution and the serfdom and just all the poverty. They weren't allowed to own land. And I've always had an issue with that. Like, anyway, I finally let go of all that. And it took, over a week, and it was just incredible. I mean, it was like, the transformation just happened. And this is a bit of a side note, but since this is the day that we're going to talk about Seven of Clubs and Jack of Spades, let's talk about transformation. When you set an intention, oh, really? Fascinating, right? Well, there's definitely a connection, with epigenetics and, I think of the energetic genetic, there's something sitting there in your DNA, and if they didn't clear it, you got to clear it, and that's part of this taking responsibility. The buck stops here in this lifetime. Let's just get it all cleared out for our children. And everybody feels it, in all time and space when you do that work. So a while back, I would say about a week or two ago, I kind of had this eruption of anger around not being able to own my own home right now. And that just grates on me, like over the top kind of anger about it. And I just kind of belched out that anger on a couple of friends of mine. And, I'm such a victim of my landlords and stuff. And they don't need the money. And I'm just, dragging my bag of rocks and suffering and starving and then handing them all my wealth, going into this story. And I said to Barbara, this seems past life. This is a bit over the top. And then she goes, oh, trauma marker, looked in my chart. Scorpio South and Taurus North Node. And we've just shifted into that astrologically. We've got Taurus North Node. I think the moon goes in like 18-year cycles, and I just started my third. So if you're born in 66 or 18 years after 66, sorry, I don't know when that is. Anyway, it was time to heal it. And I saw Barbara, and then I ended up doing a plant medicine with hape and cacao. So I'm not a plant medicine kind of person. I don't want to go into an altered state, but this was just enough to start something. And then we did drumming and sang about the grandmothers, and suddenly my grandmothers show up, and I'm like, I never thought about that grandmother. And one thing led to another. I did a shamanic drumming thing with a friend, talked to my grandma. This whole thing happened. My massage yesterday, and afterwards I had this massive emotional release. And I felt about 30 pounds lighter. And it just happened. And you set something into, okay, hi, Rikara, Ladybug, 1984. Oh, that's when you were born, eh? Because that's when I graduated from high school, which meant I was 18. So if you were born in 84, thank you. You're having a moon cycle return with the nodes. And Taurus North Node is about owning property. It's about wealth. And I've never cared about that other than I hate renting. Drives me crazy. Well, no, it doesn't anymore. It shifted. I don't feel it anymore. Oh, okay, so yours was maybe 2 years ago, maybe, Rikara. You had a, look at your nodes and maybe you had a return 2 years ago, but super intense times for me. So that transformation, you have an intention for transformation. And man, that's all it took. And I think energetically, we've shifted into a time where intention is super, super powerful. It's always been powerful, but I think that we have less blockage. I think we have less interference. I think the vibe on the planet has generally been going up pretty spiky in the last couple of years. So it opens a lot of doors for us and for our loved ones on the other side, the thinning of the veil. So anything else about 7 of Clubs? Anybody else want to tell me like how are you aspected to the 7 of Clubs and how do you want to talk about it? It's a difficult card to be, but once they do their work, they will change the world and they'll leave a legacy. Once they find that self-compassion and that healing, they really are fun, interesting, stimulating, versatile, really cool. It's a really cool card. I mean, just these cards, this 9, the 7, the 5, Queen of Spades, she's this mastery, Jack of Clubs, sense of humor, lighthearted, genius, 9 of Diamonds, generosity and giving away a lot of wealth. Faith is their bugaboo, faith and trust. But once they develop that, okay. 2 of Clubs in Uranus. Communication seems to be kind of an issue, fighting and stuff like that. Okay. 7 of Clubs, my spiritual Neptune card, and my 39 yearly Venus card. Seven of Clubs in Venus. Okay. Spiritual Neptune. Okay, Rakara, you're the king of something, right? King of Hearts. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Would that mean your spiritual Saturn? Neptune, though, yes. I see, with the 9 of Spades. Okay, well, as a Neptune card, all 7 are advantageous to give you a spiritual perspective. It's going to give you kind of this insight thing that you can just drop in and unexpectedly just dispense wisdom because you're pulling it through from a higher plane. Oh, and I wanted to mention the 8 of Clubs. So yesterday I was paying attention all day because it's a really powerful card. And in the circle of 7, it's my daughter and stuff. It's so intense. I made a lot of contact with my ancestors, my relatives, my history yesterday. And I think of 8 of Clubs as a bridge between dimensions. So what's the little goodie you got from yesterday? I got this massive healing. And so today there's just this incredible liberation. So anyway, yeah, you can dispense wisdom. And as a King of Hearts, you're going to do it with grace, expediency, tact. You're going to know how and when and who and the words and all kinds of stuff. So King of Hearts just have this wonderful ministration kind of energy. It can be a projection thing too, where you project your issues onto somebody else in the most negative, destructive way possible. Like, have there been moments when you've been triggered by something really, something, a shadow aspect in yourself that you haven't wanted to look at, and then you kind of barf it out on somebody in a really destructive way? And it's because the 7 of clubs is just, there's this kind of merciless clarity about something that's out of alignment. And Neptune energy, either it's a spiritual ideal or it's a where there's illusion mixed in, projection, shadow stuff. Yeah. And that's tough. That's really tough on a King of Hearts because you're warm-hearted and loving and kind, and that's the last thing you want to do is cause harm, because it's one of your ideals is, do no harm, be loving and kind, and there's this kind of integrity, this law of integrity in your being, and then you violate that and it's like, yikes. So just say, totally fucked up, I'm really sorry, and I love you. It's relatively simple and yet very challenging. Sometimes just saying the words will get you there. I'm talking about my brother. He's the King of Hearts, and he did some serious damage a couple of years ago, and we're still not past it. Yeah, wow. So this is timely for me to look at. This is the rake of the 7 of clubs going through your consciousness, going, what do you need to weed out? Okay, so Doris, as a transformation card, your 7 of clubs are going to show up in your life, and they're going to show you something that you don't want to see or that you have resistance to. And if you just say, okay, this is just between you and God, always remember, if somebody shows up as your Pluto, as your Saturn, as your challenge, putting the shit in your face, always remember that they're just a little cartoon sign from God who has a great sense of humor. And you just say, thank you. And I'm going to align with the fact that you love me, and it's not about that person and all of their ego crap and their cruelty. I mean, 6 of clubs is mine. The 2 of diamonds is my transformation, and I had a nasty dream about my old boyfriend, 6 of clubs, last night, and he was mean, and I was just like, ew. He was mean. But I learned something really, really important. So they're going to hold something up to you, the transformation card, that just be willing is what I'm saying. Just say, this is between me and God, and I'm willing to see what this person has been sent to show me. And it doesn't mean that they're a good person or that they're enlightened or that they're qualified to be your teacher. It just means they're bringing something up for you to look at. And if it triggers you, then there's something there. There's really something there. There's some treasure. Oh, you're welcome, Joe. Oh, awesome. Oh, King of Diamonds. I just love them. They're just the cheerleader. Oh, Rikara, thank you. Yeah, it's so fun. And I have to say, all of my reports, you're welcome, Doris. Have you, and this applies to 8 of Diamonds, 7 of Clubs, any card that is that shows up. Also, Jack of Spades. I would say even tangentially the Queen of Spades. Karma cousin, she's like one jump over. And yeah, Queen of Spades. Yeah. And I would say that it has to do, Doris, with agency. Has everything to do with agency and power. Because 10 of Hearts are so soft, sweet, very, very tender-hearted. And there's this whole thing about stepping into your power that's really scary. Yeah. So they're going to be in your face and push you until you push back. That's the key. Ayesha, hi. Beautiful name. What do you think of the Jack of Hearts with 7 of Diamonds, King of Diamonds, Jack of Hearts? Ayesha, tell me more. Is this a birth card? Is this you? the Jack of Hearts. Oh, with like a relationship, a Jack of Hearts with someone who is the Seven of Diamonds and the King of Diamonds, meaning March 16th, right? The Neptune Seven of Diamonds. Yes. Well, okay, here's one thing that whenever I do, this is a really great question. Oh, Doris, you're the Six of Diamonds. Oh, I totally, yeah, totally misinterpreted something. Jupiter, Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn. Oh, I call that double Saturn. And you call it transformation. Oh, well, it all still applies. It definitely all still applies. So yeah, Six of Diamonds there, they've got some polarization that they have to figure out how to integrate. Like I'm really this, but I'm really this. Anyway, so the relationship. So this is a little moment for me to just plug myself a little bit and say, if you like this costs $35, I really should raise the price, and I will. I figured out how to do this on my website. So for a short time only, $35. And it gives you directions on my website to text me. You text me, and then I'll say, please give me your email, the birthdays, and the nature of your relationship. And I need the birthdays so I can look at your planetary rulers and stuff. And then I look at all the relationships, all the planetary influences, past life and present life. And then I actually do this work of tuning into your relationship, which is really fun. I love doing that. And just, as much permission as you give me, but not anymore. I won't know stuff I'm not supposed to know. And then I send you an email, a long, detailed email about this is who you were in a past life. This is what I'm picking up on. And here's what's presenting in this lifetime, but you feel all these residual energies of this. So you're supposed to focus on Jupiter, but you feel the comfort of Moon in there somewhere, or the competition of Mars, or whatever it is. And so go to itiskismet.com. It is, oh, let's see. I know that you guys already probably know how to get there. Yeah, just updated a bunch of stuff. And I wanted to say, if you buy a report, I really need to update all those because I had business partners that helped me write it, and they kind of put this hip, kind of saucy, a lot of swear words, a lot of insult humor. And it's not necessarily how I am or where I want to come from. They did help lighten me up because I'm a diamond and I get really deathly serious. So they injected a lot of humor into it, but sometimes it's kind of in your face and I don't like that. So I just want to say that, if you're offended, I'm sorry about that. So the relationship. So here's this thing I want to say about this general principle. When you're figuring out relationship connections, look for the circle of seven. That's what I call it. And I know you guys, you know what I'm talking about, right? King of Spades, Seven of Diamonds, Nine of Hearts, Jack of Hearts, all those fixed and semi-fixed cards. If you have one of those cards in your hand, you go, okay, so the Jack of Hearts, it is in the circle, but let's just say Mercury, Venus, Mars. It has Two of Hearts in Mars, and this is a circle of seven cards. So Mars, okay, and then the Seven of Diamonds, King of Diamonds, they have a circle of seven card in Venus. So I would say it's a Mars-Venus circle of seven connection, or circle of seven through Mars, circle of seven through Venus. It's easier to figure, like, look at, if you have a Six of Clubs, that's not in the circle, right? But Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, they have the King of Spades and Saturn. So because I'm Seven of Diamonds, I have a circle of seven Saturn. Those two are dancing. The circle of seven, which makes it an ancient connection, deep, core, raw. They're going to get your goat. They know where your goat is tied up, and they're going to go get him. And Saturn means this is not going to be comfortable. I've had so many Six of Clubs in my life, but everyone's gotten easier and easier and easier, to the point where I now have one in my life who invited me to join the band, and I'm having this massive relationship with the band. I called it in, I joined the band. It was great. And then I really fucked up and I had to deal with my ego, and then I quit the band. And now I'm like, well, I'll be there for you in a pinch. We'll perform something on Easter. So I'm discovering my way, but she's very gentle and kind, this 6 of clubs. And I think it's because I said yes to the lesson. It gets more gentle when you say yes. So don't freak out if your Pluto card shows up in your life, just say yes. And it's not going to be easy, but the less you resist, okay, just like with childbirth or like with, in the morning after you drink coffee and what happens, and if you have less resistance, it's going to be less painful because you're just getting rid of something, right? Okay. So does the 6 of diamonds have a circle of 7 moon connection then? Yes, absolutely. The 6 of diamonds, of course, 6 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds right here. Mercury moon connection. And then the 6 of diamonds, its moon card is the 8 of clubs. So yes, the 6 of diamonds has a moon and a double moon Mercury. Yeah, very tight with circle of 7 cards. You'll find that when you magnetize them into your life, there will be a generally wonderful, warm, like, oh, I don't know who this person was, but we really trusted each other. We really knew each other. Oh, you're so welcome. My best friend in the whole world is my husband's sister, who is the 6 of diamonds, and I'm the 7 of diamonds. Since I was 11 years old. Yeah. And I have seen a couple of our past lives together. It's like we've traded back and forth being the lady in waiting, and now we're sisters-in-law. And it's like we go through the same exact thing at the same exact time, 1,000 miles apart. And it's amazing. In fact, she's married to my brother, which means we have a brother-sister pair married to a brother-sister pair. It's like, oh, you think those families are entwined a little? So anyway, yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah. Oh, do you like the book, Doris? Like, has it been useful to you? Like, if you look at your 52-day cards and then you go, okay, let's just. So I took my journal, and I, like, every once in a while when I feel I'm in an intense thing, I write it out and I go, okay, I have not good. I'm like, I've got 9 of spades now. And so as I'm progressing through that 52-day period, especially when there's something difficult, God, my dog is so freaking cute. Max, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, he was just he was a horse in a past life. So he does he rolls around on his back, don't you? He makes horse sounds, chuffing. Um, yeah, so for anybody, if you know what your 52-day card is, look at the entire hand of that card, and that's your life for 52 days. So that puts that whole 7 of clubs thing in perspective. Yeah, you can even say, "Oh, look at this card." Like 8 of clubs. 8 of clubs is Pluto to the 9 of spades, and I have it right now. So yesterday was my Pluto day. It was death and rebirth. Yep. Okay, so 6 of diamonds is your Neptune card. Yes. Mhm. God, it just goes and goes and goes, doesn't it? I mean, the connections, they start to go off in your head. Okay. So what else? Yeah. And it's endless. The complexity of it is just, I mean, like today I'm like, oh, 7 of clubs. Okay. And then I just rolled into the day. And I was like, I'm not going to think about it, not going to analyze it or try to anticipate. I want to talk about it. I want to do a YouTube or something, or a Clubhouse on it, but I want to get a taste for the day first. Let's just let it unfold and see how it rolls. And then afterwards, I can kind of piece it apart and go, okay, I have 9 of spades for my 52-day card right now. And look how it's aspected to the 9 of spades, all the different ways. And it would say that there is a past life Neptune transformation that's going to happen. And indeed, that's exactly what did happen. Sometimes you can't see it till afterwards, but then it really, do you find it just gives you so much comfort? You're like, okay, now that makes sense. As far as anticipating and stuff, the predictive, I think that's a lot less valuable than the descriptive, giving you insight about something that you're already going through. You're like, oh, that's why it's this way. Anyway, for me, that's how it works. Predicting is just like, it's just become pointless to me. Oh, Clubhouse. Yes, it's Rikara, you would know this better than me. Let me go get my phone. I think it's just my name, Paula Kruger. This is my name, Paula, Paula Kruger. Yeah. So you can probably find me on Clubhouse that way. Oh, here's my phone. Yeah. Rohan Seth is talking in Clubhouse. I don't really care. Yeah, Clubhouse rocks, doesn't it? For cardology. Oh my God, it's got this massive community on it. So this is what my profile, yeah, at paula.kruger. And I've got this little, the cardology. You see the my circle? That's the cover of my book. And I do have to say, the 9 of diamonds that I did was so good. Like something came through. And I didn't just talk like kind of the textbook logic like I am right now, which is really satisfying for me. The Virgo rising. I just love but that 9 of diamonds sailed through like poetry. And I would bet it has something to do with how the 9 of diamonds is aspected with us this year. So yeah, just go to my channel and look at, I don't do all the days, but the ones that I do, I think they're pretty good. I did a Queen of Clubs and I interviewed my friend who is a Queen of Clubs, and then it didn't record. It was some setting thing that I was like, oh my God. It was just like in The Fifth Element, where I think it's Chris Rock or whoever. He's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That was the best show I ever did. That's how I felt. It was like, because Dr. Sue got on there and she's the Queen of Clubs, and it was just, it was insight central. Anyway, does anybody else have any comments or questions? How has today been for you? And it's going to have everything to do with how it's aspected to you and what your cards of influence are for this month. Oh, and if you don't know, we can look it up right now. Oh, awesome. Oh, you're a 7 of diamonds? Yes, you do walk. I'm a 7 of diamonds too, Brittany. And yes, you go back and forth, back and forth. And somebody told me what that was, the odd years or the even years. And I could tell for a while because I would have a really hard year and then a really easy year. And then I was like, oh. And I asked Robert Camp this one time. I was like, is it helpful if I go over to the 9 of hearts spread and I look it up? He's like, and he just said, what do you think? And which is the perfect question with cardology. How does that work for you? It's like, yep. Yes, I use the diagonal card axis. That's interesting that you say that. It's something that I just discovered, and I'm not even sure what you mean by that. But somebody whose dad was actually a Mason, she worked in the grocery store. This was like 20 years ago, and 6 of hearts. And she said, oh, the Pluto line, that diagonal line, the Pluto line. And she didn't mean it. But what I assumed was 7 of diamonds, and then I just took it this way, diagonally, and I looked at every one of those cards in my life, the 6 of hearts, the 10 of diamonds, the 9 of hearts, the King of clubs, and the Queen of hearts. Every single one of those cards are people who have been Pluto to me in one way or another. So to call that the Pluto line, I was like, yeah. So if you look at your card, look at the entire diagonal line. And yes, you can figure connections. Okay, so here's the Jack of hearts. Mercury, Venus, Mars. The five of diamonds will be Mars to the Jack of hearts. So yeah, anyway. And I was just thinking about doing a webinar for introductory for people who are, I was like, would I be able to get enough people who are new to the cards? So that's probably about a month away. I've got a tech person that I'm going to have a meeting with soon, and hopefully she'll help me figure out how to do that. Mutual Mars. Yes, mutual. I like how you said mutual because that's how I look at it. It's not like you're Mars to them or they're Mars. It's going to be both. And you just kind of hold it up and you go, Mars. Do we have competition, attraction, aggression? Do we want to go do stuff? Are we attracted to doing projects? And then look at the planetary intersection. So my Pluto card, okay, I have a six of hearts who is like one of my very, very best friend for decades now. And yes, she triggers the hell out of me sometimes, and it's always a mirror. But she's Mars, Mars. Mars, Mars. So she's probably competitive with everyone in her life. And I have kind of figured that out. So it's not just me. There's so many causes and effects, right? Look, so she represents Mars energy to me. It's like, oh, what's my relationship to Mars? Competition, sexuality. I mean, she's so Pleiadian. She's such a pagan. And she's like, goes to all these sex events, or used to, exploring her life through sexuality. And I was always like, ooh, that's just not me. I just can't go there. So it always, she will show up and show me how I feel about Mars stuff, Well, and this particular diagonal line is significant because this is Mercury, Mercury, Venus, Venus, Mars, Mars, Jupiter, Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn, So those cards are like a poster child for that planetary energy. The Venus, Venus, and Jupiter, Jupiter, all the seven of diamonds in the house, or nine of hearts, not so much, because you're going to be the face of Saturn and Venus. So like everyone's going to love you, and you're going to like be beautiful and attractive and like love the whole Venus thing. But then life is so hard and there's all this growth and it's so serious. Oh my God, if I can just achieve a breakthrough, and that's the Saturn. So we're not just the face of Venus or Saturn. There's going to be that dance between the two. What else? What else do you guys want to talk about? Let's just see what comes through. Oh, do you want to talk about the Jack of Diamonds? Should we talk about our fair country? Do we have any international people in the house? Do we have any non-Americans? So the Pluto line is that diagonal line that has, I think so. See, it's Pluto for me, but I don't know. So technically, Rikara, being the king of hearts, I would ask myself, do I know four of spades, three of clubs, seven of spades, and six of clubs? How do they show up for me? Is this your Pluto line? Do these people trigger you in particular? If so, I'd say yeah. Would I say it? This would be the Uranus line going this way. So we would have a Uranus connection, and that is definitely true. I feel very low tension with King of Hearts. It's just easy. I would say this line will show you, it will universally show you that planetary energy and what your relationship is to it. Like pull out a 10 of diamonds and say, how do I feel about them? And that's how you feel about Jupiter. They drive me nuts. I mean, they drove me nuts for a while till I got more comfortable with the idea of expansion and becoming my own guru. That's a Jupiter thing. Yeah. The Four of Spades is your Pluto card. Yes. So how do you feel about the Pluto people in your life? So Pluto is about death and rebirth. And let's just talk about Pluto for a second. So here's the glyph. It was the study of symbols. Who was it? Sue. It was Dr. Sue from the cardology world. She said, I look at signs and symbols and just the most obvious pictures and stuff. And I thought this was absolutely brilliant. She's like, look at where the King of Spades is looking. He's looking down at the Queen of Spades. Who is she looking at? She's looking down here at the King of Hearts. And who's right here kind of supporting her, even though she's not looking? You know, things like that, like turning it into a story. Jessica, you're from Canada. Yay. We love Canada with all our hearts and souls. Do you watch Murdoch Mysteries? We're watching it. We're just getting to the very end of the last season. Then it's so sad. We're going to have to let it go. I've learned so much about Canada through watching Murdoch. Anyway, I forget what card he is. Yannick Bisson? I looked up his wife, but I didn't look him up. Stuart, do you remember what card Yannick Bisson is?
Who?
Yannick.
Janet?
Yannick. Murdoch.
Nope.
I don't remember. Okay, so here's the symbol of Pluto, and here's the story it tells. Okay, this circle is floating above this little plate. So this intersection of death and rebirth, which is what Pluto is about, you have this intersection, this death and rebirth. Somehow you can float above. You end up, this is my story, I just made this up. You end up being kind of transcending this earth plane, sort of. You're above it. The transcending, the rebirth that happens, and I don't know the history of this glyph. I would be very curious about it, but you know, doesn't it just look like a little person who's just like welcoming, and their little head is above everything? When you do the death and rebirth work of Pluto, what does it mean after you've been reborn? And it's no longer that ego death experience. Okay, so with my bestie, who's the Six of Hearts, what it's become is just a soul song that we sing together. And she helps me get in touch with my divine purpose. So if your ego has died and you've been born, then what are you here for? What did you get born into? What is that authentic self that was birthed through that experience of death? So, oh, that's a really interesting question. Bacchus? Well, I know that he loves like parties and drinking, and like he's kind of a Jupiterian Father Christmas energy that is about reveling and celebration, and you know, we all need a little bit of that. But that's, I don't know, why do you ask? That's a great question. Oh, and what's Canada Day? Like, what's your birthday? Because we're the Jack of Diamonds, and I think you guys are July 2nd, which would make you the King of Diamonds. Infinitely more mature. See, like, look how you guys handled things. Look how we handle things. It's reactionary, angry. You guys are common sense, calm, no drama. Let's just be mature about this. Yeah. Oh, you think, yes, I think he is a Three of Diamonds. That's really funny. Yeah. I look at him and I think about how much he tolerates. He seems like a really tolerant, good-hearted, kind person. In fact, I nicknamed the Three of Diamonds the sweetness card because I couldn't come up with anything else. It's a mystery, and I think it's that Ace of Spades, and Mercury. They're kind of mysterious, but they actually are incredibly sweet. Oh, July 1? Is it really? I shouldn't be questioning you, but I know I heard July 2nd somewhere, but I also know I'm on a different timeline now than I was a little while ago because everything's different. And I'm like, how come I never knew about this and this and this and this? Yeah, and it's a really good timeline. It's a positive timeline jump. So that would mean that you guys are the Ace of Spades, Princess Diana's birthday. And there's a shyness, You know, I know that Japan, their birthday is the Ace of Spades. And then you can look at countries' relationships to each other. And England is the Jack of Clubs, which has a karmic tie to the Jack of Diamonds, the United States. Okay. So you're like looking it up. Okay. Well, this is a different timeline because I knew that it used to be the second. This is hilarious. Wow. So now it's the Ace of Spades. Your mom is a Three of Diamonds. She's sweet, but many struggles. Joe, it's one of the most difficult life paths. It is a very challenging life path that will involve making a sacrifice for someone younger. And it can take the form of, sorry, this is going to be some Canadian Hollywood gossip here. And I'm going to say something kind of nasty. And I apologize for that. But Yannick's wife strikes me as kind of surfacey, kind of insipid, kind of like, how would you describe Yannick Bisson's wife, honey?
Kind of wannabe.
Kind of a wannabe, kind
Sort
of
of
like.
thought she was pretty cool and kind of hot in high school.
Yeah.
And life moved on.
Gonna be famous for being famous, and they were good looking in high school and sweethearts and attracted, probably had a karmic purpose together. And then she went exploring. Didn't they break up for a while? And she was,
She was out.
sleeping with other people.
All kinds of.
A lot of them. And Yannick Bisson just obviously made a decision and said, I'm going to stay, going to make it work, going to be happy, probably for the kids. And he is, you can tell. He's just settled himself into it with this incredible, he's chosen the King of Diamonds instead of the Jack of Diamonds. And that's more typical for a diamond because diamonds resonate to adulthood. Clubs resonate to adolescence. So it's harder for a club male to get to his king. A little harder. Oh, that's really sweet, Jessica. I'm probably in the other timeline too, just a little less happy. I'm vibrating to this one, I guess. I don't know. Today. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. I look a lot better in this timeline. It's so weird. It's like all of a sudden I woke up and I'm like, wow, I look good. I look good today. And I felt like shit the day before. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad to be here with you all. This is really fun. I love talking cards with you guys like this. Got to figure out how to do a webinar where I can just have people talk back, like, okay, give you the mic. And I should do that more on Clubhouse. I will do that more on Clubhouse. So yeah, the Three of Diamonds, he made the Jack of Hearts sacrifice and said, yeah, I could definitely do better. But this is my life. And he made a choice, and he sacrificed a bit of, and I know in this country, we have this really intense relationship with the dream. Yeah, Zoom is a good way to go. The dream, the American dream. Do you know where that comes from? Look at our Neptune card. Our Neptune card is the Queen of Diamonds or Queen of Hearts, who is the intersection of Neptune and Neptune, which means we have a lot of fantasies we have to let go of. We get fed a lot of dreams as children. You're going to grow up, you're going to have the white picket fence, the perfect marriage. It's unique to everybody, but it's like, this is what a perfect marriage. And so we tend to throw away a lot of good for a dream of perfect, which in some cases doesn't exist. And the Jack, there's just kind of this, I don't think we have as high of an expectation to just be grown up. We kind of stay in this youthful Jack energy, and we don't have a lot of public figures who, well, what we do is we tear them to shreds if we do get a mature, like a King of Diamonds archetype on stage. Well, that's the whole deep state agenda too. It's like keep us in this immaturity, but man, growing up is hard to do. It's a little harder for Americans. I think. Isn't that interesting to think about? So what's your relationship to the Jack of Diamonds? My son is the Jack of Diamonds, so I've done an exhaustive, like, what are all the different planetary relationships? And all we have is Moon Mercury, which means you're right next to them somewhere, somehow, because of the Three of Spades karma card, and then Three of Spades sits next to the Nine of Hearts. So that's the Moon Mercury. And Jupiter, which means we feel really close and tight and safe with each other, and there's just this beneficial energy, which means I get along really good with this government. I think I've paid taxes once. Of course, I don't make enough to have to pay, but somehow it's just worked out that they've given me a lot more than I've given them. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, Laura's still one of your instructors. No, no, she's a dear friend, and she's, you'll see Laura and Candy in like some of the YouTube channels and stuff, but we parted ways. We ended our business relationship quite a while ago, but we're still friends. We're on really good terms. They're just off doing their own thing. Fantasies and addictions. Yes. Well spotted. And actors and musicians and secrets. Yes. A lot of the Neptune corruption around sexuality, drugs, addictions, all the low side of the Queen of Hearts, but also what's the high side of the Queen of Hearts? It's bliss. Joseph Campbell's message sings in this country, follow your bliss. So people in this country are a lot more likely to take a chance on following their bliss. And they tend to win. They tend to succeed because consciousness will co-create it for you, right? I mean, that's true for anybody, but yeah, dreams, this is the dream factory, and Hollywood is the dream factory, which is kind of like the Uranus Neptune. Uranus is technology, Neptune is the fantasy. So that's kind of like we generate the fantasy and the image. And we're a 3, the 3 of Spades under there. We're a 3 on the Enneagram. It's all about achievement, image. But what is 3 in the positive? 3 is they know how to really honor. The healthy 3s I know really know how to honor other people in their achievements, in what they have accomplished. It's typically the most common typology to be diagnosed as a narcissist. I mean, most narcissists are 3s on the Enneagram, not kidding. But the healthy 3s are like paragons of society, and they really know how to lift up other people, So they're good leaders of organizations because they know how to fit everybody in. Isn't that interesting? So kind of like the healthy corporate model, if you could say that. So this is fun. This has been fun. 7 of Clubs, kind of parsing it out, discernment and stuff. Oh my God, do you love him or what? I love Denzel. Yes. And I had Telegram for a while, and then I just had to get deleted off my phone because it was just taking up too much space and time. Oh, yeah. Who comforted Will Smith the other day? Did he really? I love that when they show up for each other. Like how, I'll get back to the 3 of Hearts in a second. Very enigmatic card, but I learned a lot about it through looking at him and Maggie Smith and Ben Stiller. But Will Smith is the Queen of Hearts. Interesting. Okay. But how Robert Downey Jr. showed up to support, who's the Patriot guy? Mel Gibson. When Mel Gibson they were just tearing him apart. And it's because now we know, it's because he wasn't going along with the really dark shit going on in Hollywood, and he was calling it out. And he's like, I'm not playing with you guys. I'm not going to treat children the way you do and do the shit that you do to them, because it's just like you guys are really fucked up. And he came out and began exposing it, so they tore him to shreds. And Robert Downey Jr., he's a spade. Spades have to be like, am I going to be the jack or am I going to be the king? And they do a lot of scary, weird shit as jacks. And then when they grow up, there's this choice that they make. And he chose integrity. Thank God. And he got behind Mel Gibson. It was very cool. Your mother has sacrificed so much for me. Oh, yes. She's learned that, Jack of Hearts. I'm in gratitude to such a blessing. I think that it's interesting about the Neptune card for the U.S. Very curious. Yep, it is. Okay, so the Three of Hearts, Denzel Washington. This is a curious thing, and I don't know how it's relevant, and we might get there. But there was this article that came out, and it was dividing like movie stars' faces in half. And oh my God, if you put a mirror up exactly, and then you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll see like the mirror reflection of each side, and it's so creepy. Because most people's faces are really asymmetrical, and Denzel Washington had the most perfectly symmetrical face of anyone. That's like what I remember about him. Maybe it means that like there's this integration and this balance, because isn't that what 3 is about? I could be this or I could be this, but let's be in the center. So the most consistent thing I figured out about the Three of Hearts, I learned the word emotional launch pad. Kind of invented it. Oh, you're welcome, Jessica. It's been really fun. The emotional launch pad is the moon card. They have the King of Spades as the emotional launch pad, which means they're going to have a very powerful parental figure in their childhood that says, you can do it. You can do anything. They're going to have some support system. And I was going to say his Telegram feed, he had the most inspirational things. And if you Google like his keynote addresses, his inspirational speeches, they'll just give you the chills. You'll just be like, oh my God. And he's coming from that King of Spades position to lift you up. Yeah, Rikara is totally in my corner. And look at that, in my corner. That's just, yeah. Could we extrapolate that these people are in your corner? Yes! We just learned something. Queen of Clubs, my best friend. 6 of Hearts, my best friend. King of Hearts, super supportive people in my life. I just love them. And 3 of Hearts, well, I don't really know any, but I think Denzel is really cool because they're really rare. There's only 2 birthdays a year that are the 3 of Hearts, but they're also the Queen of Clubs. So who's in your corner? I'll leave you with that. Look at the corner cards. Oh, I just got a wave of nausea. That means my blood sugar is low and it's time to go. Yes, this has been really, really fun, you guys. I love this. So I'll give you a minute to say little parting things because I know there's like a 10-second delay or something. So find me on Clubhouse, find me on itiskismet.com, buy someone's report for like a special gift. It's such a cool thing because, especially in relationships, because then it gives you something really meaty to talk about. Does this fit you? Does this not fit you? How do you relate to this? How is she wrong? How is she right? Because it's not going to be, 100% accurate, but it really gives you a foundation to jump off of to talk about stuff with somebody. You are so welcome, Doris. All of you. Yeah, see you all soon. I love you. Have a really blessed night. And tomorrow, okay, what is your gift for today? And how are you taking that into tomorrow? So 7 of Clubs. Yes, you're welcome, Ayesha. Gosh, what does your name mean? It's so beautiful. The gift from today maybe is discernment and self-compassion. For me, it's been transformational breakthrough. And then how is that going to lead into tomorrow? 6 of Clubs, calling. It's like God threw you the baseball. He pitched to you. What's your calling? Where are you going to hit it? The 6 of Clubs is like your contract, your agreement. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Denise. You're so welcome. Thank you for participating. It's been really fun. Good night, everybody.